yes, welcome to another 60 minutes. That's why we call it the Bunce Boxing Hour. Now, in the past, as you know, I've sometimes had 6 or 7 live guests. But today, 1 or 2 pullouts, 1 or 2 late letdowns has left me with this. We couldn't even get the tumbleweed music. There's the tumbleweed music. That's okay. We'll try that again next week. It'll work a treat. But listen, that aside, we still have a very busy show. And you know why? That's because we are very busy. Because we go everywhere, babe. Oh, yes, we do. And we start this week. We follow that lot with a trip to Oldham in Lancashire, one of my favourite cities. In fact, that's the place where Eric Cantona had his first ever match on English soil. We're not at the stadium, we're at a leisure centre. Introducing the class of 2012, and we'll be talking and hearing from several of those boxers during this show. We're also going to be in Denmark with Alan Green, the American, stepping up to fight Mikkel Kessler. That's on Saturday night, slightly later than the normal fight start, and that's simply because of the Champions League final. So they're having a break in the boxing in Denmark. They're going to have some fights before the Champions League, and then we're going to go live to, I think it's Copenhagen, after the Champions League has been resolved, after Chelsea have either beaten Bayern Munich or Bayern Munich, who are playing at home, basically, have beaten Chelsea, who are so seriously depleted. I mean, I think they're only going to play with 8 men. But listen, that's neither here nor there. That's on Saturday night. Friday night is the Box Academy. We are launching it. And what's interesting is coming up in a moment, I'm going to be talking to 1 or 2 of the boxers from that show. But we've got some fantastic news about that show. There's going to be a cash prize available. It's the first time we think this has ever happened. A cash prize is going to be available for the 2 boxers involved in the best fight of the night. Now, both of them, my understanding is it's going to be split equally between the 2. I can't tell you the figure, but it's a substantial amount of money. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. I like that. I'll do it again. It's a substantial amount of money. Yeah, I like that a lot. See, that's the sync that we have. But that's really good. It's a cash prize. It's going to be sponsored by Raynham Steel. It's going to be available on every single Box Academy show. And what it is, it's just to give some of the guys on the undercard a bit more incentive to just put a little bit extra in, because they're going to walk away with something that's probably going to equal what they've made in the ring. Anyway, the main event, or the nominal main event in Oldham, is going to be a guy called Joey Selkirk. You know, we've seen him a few times. He's unbeaten and he's pushing closer and closer. Not through activity, but just by his presence to some sort of title fight, certainly within the next 6 months at the latest. 9 months. But one of the boxers on the undercard and a kid that is getting an awful lot of attention is this kid, and he's going to be the next guest on the show. It's Callum Johnson. Callum, are you there?
I'm here.
Sorry for keeping you waiting, Callum. This will be what, about your 5th fight or something like that? Yep.
Yeah, it's my 5th fight. It's my 5th one. Yeah.
So and you've got one of those classic things in the other corner. One of those guys that may lose a lot, forget his record, but you can't shift these guys, can you? These old so and so's. They're not easy to beat, are they?
No, like you say, his record speaks for itself. I think he's had 58 fights and he's only ever been stopped twice. So he's known for taking people the distance. So I'm looking forward to it, and it should be a decent test for me at this stage.
It is a decent test, and of course, one of the things you've got to do when you're fighting these guys that don't fall over is you've got to make sure you don't overcommit. Because if you overcommit, that's what they like. You've got to try and make them think as opposed to just go into a groove.
That's it. Obviously, I've got to use my boxing skill because it's an 8-rounder, and obviously I don't want to blow out. Obviously, it's the first time I've done 8 rounds, so like I say, if he takes me into the 6th, 7th, 8th round, you know, it's going to be somewhere I've never been before. So obviously, I've got to conserve energy, take my time, and pick my shots, and like I say, and keep him thinking, and not let him, like I say, as you say, overcommitting, and let him sort of get his own stuff off.
Yeah, cause that's what all of these cagey guys, you know, they lose lots of fights, but they're not losers. They're good. They're skilled operators, and that's the guys. That's the big problem that young fighters have, is that sometimes you think you've half got them and you punch like a lunatic, and he's just smiling behind these gloves, picking off your punches. And plus, you know, going a few rounds, that's good for you, Callum.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like you say, I'm not going to say I want to do the 8 rounds because, like you say, the old saying that Bruno says, you don't get paid for overtime. But, you know, I think, like you say, it's a good test, and I think I'll be looking, like you say, to get a few decent rounds in and hopefully get the stoppage. But it's not something I'm going to be really looking for. I mean, if it comes, it comes. So I'm looking forward to the advice.
That's the advice I give every single pro, whether he's had 2 fights or 10 fights. When he's in a fight like this, is I always say never go for the stoppage. And there used to be a famous guy called Peter Buckley, and he had, I think, in the end, he ended up having 300 fights, and hundreds of fighters literally tried to stop him, and only the very best did. Colin McMillan, Duke McKenzie, and Nassim Hamid, because that was the kind of company he kept. So, you know, so that's the whole thing. Just take your time, Callum. What's the buzz in the gym like about these boxers?
The gym's great. You know, like I say, we've got loads of champions in the gym, former champions, current champions, and like I say, training alongside the lads I train alongside. You know, it's just a right buzz in the gym, and it gives you that extra incentive to do well. You know, to get onto their level.
And what about the sparring coming through there? Is most of it actually in the gym, or do you bring guys in, or do you go elsewhere sometimes?
Sometimes we bring guys in, you know, a few different guys come in there and again. Like I say, I've got people like Paul Smith, Jose Byrne, you know, he's like 6'4". He was a hot prospect in the amateurs, he won the ABA, he's a hot prospect now. You've got Paul Smith, he's been there and done it. Yeah. You know, it's sparring with guys like that in and out, and like I say, doing 8 rounds the other day with 4 with Jose and 4 with Paul. So the fresh as well, so it keeps you on your toes, and you can't really get a great deal better than that, to be honest. So
to do 4 rounds with Smigger, with Smigger, and to do 4 rounds with Jose Burton, as you say, ABA champion. Plus, he's got a bit of edge, he's got a bit of that. You travel all over the country to do that. The fact it's actually in your gym is a real bonus.
Yeah, it's great. You know, you couldn't, like you say, you couldn't ask for better sparring and better people to be around. And Joe, as a coach, is a great coach. So, like I say, I'm blessed really to be involved in the setup.
Well, listen, we'll see you on Friday. Let me ask you this. What do you think about this new prize? It's available for everybody, from the first fight to the last fight, from a real undercard fight to the main event. What do you think about this prize offered by Raynham Steel, which will be for the best fight of the night, split equally between winner and loser? What do you think about that?
Is that like come for, like, as in best fighters or best performance, or
no,
is that like
best fight? No, so it doesn't have to be the 2 best. It's the best fight of the night. It's the fight that a panel of 3 decide is the one that's entertained people the most.
Yeah, that's great. You know, it's great. Like I say, it gives people the incentive to push go on. And like I say, it gives the other opponent, you know, supposedly the away opponent, if you like, it gives them more incentive to put a show on as well. So, I know it's a great idea. This is the first I've heard about it, and
I'll tell you what, Callum, you've actually seen through it. That was a brilliant analysis of what it does. It's about the, quote, away opponent. It's about the guy in the other corner, because it gives him incentive to fight that little bit harder. Listen, Callum, it's been a delight talking to you tonight. I'll see you on Friday at Oldham.
Cheers, thanks a lot.
No problem at all.
Cheers,
Callum
bye.
Johnson there talking to me. I thought he did a very good job, to be honest with you. Now,